Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's forget the spreadsheets just for a moment today.
Good idea.
We're going to plunge into something that, well, it can really make or break your retirement. And interestingly, it's not just about the dollars and cents. You shared a really thought-provoking piece with us from Kiplinger. The emotional side of retirement planning really cracked open a crucial conversation.
Absolutely. It's so true. We spend, countless hours focusing on the financial runway for retirement, which is vital. Obviously, you need that.
Of course.
But this Kiplinger article, it shines a light on what happens when you actually land that psychological landing.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Beyond just the portfolio.
Exactly. And that's really our mission in this deep dive. We want to get you, the listener, thinking about those maybe under the radar questions.
Yeah.
The ones that go way beyond your 401k balance, all to help make sure your retirement isn't just like financially sound, but actually deeply satisfying.
It's a big shift.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how much the whole idea of retirement has changed, isn't it? The piece touches on it a bit.
Right. Not that long ago, retirement was, well, frankly, a much shorter phase of life. Often spent pretty close to home doing, familiar things.
Yeah. And now it's completely different. You could easily be looking at 15, maybe even 20 years in retirement.
That's a huge chunk of life, a whole new chapter.
A whole new chapter. And if you haven't given any thought to the emotional architecture of that chapter,
right,
well, that's where things can get tricky, even if you've got all the financial pieces perfectly lined up.
And that's the core punch of the article, isn't it? It states it so clearly. I think the quote is, if they're not ready mentally, then all the money in the world won't buy them a fulfilling retirement.
Wow. Yeah. That's a real wake-up call.
It is. It really puts the spotlight on this idea that mental and emotional preparedness, they aren't just nice to haves. They are fundamental pillars for a successful retirement. And the article gives some really excellent prompts to get that crucial self-reflection going.
Okay, let's really unpack those questions then, because they seem designed to dig beneath the surface. The first one asks, describe what you envision yourself doing the first week of retirement, and how does it make you feel? Sounds simple.
It does sound simple, but it's surprisingly powerful. It forces you to move from this sort of abstract idea of free time to actually visualizing your day-to-day. What does that look like? And maybe more importantly, what emotions does that vision stir up?
Excitement.
Or
maybe a bit of unease?
Could be either, or both. And interestingly, research actually shows many people experience this real honeymoon phase right at the start.
Oh, okay.
But then there can be a dip in satisfaction if they haven't, actively cultivated new routines, new social connections. So that initial feeling is just one data point.
That's a really insightful point. The next question sort of builds on that, the interpersonal side. If married, how does your spouse feel about retiring?
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, highlights that retirement, for many people, is a joint venture.
Absolutely. You might be counting down the days, ready to leap, but your partner, they could have a completely different perspective. Maybe they love their work still, or maybe they're worried about how the dynamic between you will shift.
That makes sense.
These differing views, they really need to be brought out into the open, discussed, honestly. And what's fascinating is how often sort of underlying anxieties or unspoken expectations can bubble up during these chats.
Then comes the question about, well, the logistics, but it's more than that. Do you want to stay in your home or move? Be in warm weather or cold?
Yeah, it sounds practical, but it's deeply tied to your sense of comfort, of belonging, isn't it?
Totally.
Your home is, filled with memories, but maybe it also comes with increasing maintenance hassles.
Right. Or that dream of sunshine might clash with wanting to be near the grandkids.
Exactly. These decisions aren't purely rational. They're heavily influenced by emotional attachments, future hopes. And I think people often underestimate the emotional weight of leaving a familiar place.
The article also hits you with a very direct one. How is your current health? A stark reminder.
Stark but necessary. Your physical well-being, it really shapes your retirement experience, fundamentally.
That's the bedrock, really.
It is. Thinking proactively about your health lets you make informed choices about healthcare, insurance, even the kinds of activities you can realistically plan for and enjoy. It's not about dwelling on problems, but about being realistic.
Planning accordingly.
Oh.
Okay, and finally this question. Do you want to leave a legacy or spend all of your money? This really gets to the heart of your values, doesn't it?
It really does. It taps right into your personal philosophy. What matters most to you? Do you envision passing on wealth? Or maybe experiences are more important?
Or just enjoying the moment?
Right. Is your priority squeezing every drop out of the present? There's no right or wrong answer, of course.
No.
But having clarity here, it gives you a powerful framework. For your financial decisions, sure, but also for your overall sense of purpose in retirement.
It guides things.
It really does. I remember working with someone, actually, who was adamant, just adamant about spending every penny. But as they got closer, they suddenly discovered this deep desire to support a cause, something that had always mattered to them, but they hadn't focused on it. These feelings can definitely evolve.
That's a great example. And the article then shares that compelling story about the couple, the ones who initially had this vision of retiring to Arizona for golf.
Yes. That story is great.
It illustrates so well how these emotional and practical things get tangled up and can change your direction.
What's so insightful about that anecdote is that push and pull, isn't it?
Yeah.
The allure of sunny days, endless golf.
The dream.
The dream clashing with the unexpected joy of becoming grandparents and realizing they actually still quite enjoyed their jobs.
Right. So their eventual compromise. What was it? A condo in Maine.
Yeah, near family, but still allowing for golf. It just highlights the need for flexibility, for factoring in these evolving emotional needs. And like the article wisely says, you really need a game plan before you make those big life shifts.
The game plan. And that plan, as the article outlines, needs to think about the different phases of retirement, too. It talks about that initial long-term vacation phase.
Yes, the honeymoon phase we mentioned.
Full of new adventures, rediscovering passions.
That's often a period of really high energy, a sense of liberation, People are finally doing the things they put on hold.
Traveling, maybe going back to school.
Exactly. Retraining sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a time of kind of redefining who you are outside of that career identity.
But the article also points out for many people that eventually settles down. It gives way to maybe a slower, more mundane lifestyle. Still good, but different.
Right, a different rhythm. Physical changes might start to influence choices too. The article mentions preferring a lunch outing over late dinner because driving at night feels less comfortable.
Little things like that.
Exactly. That initial whirlwind, it naturally settles into a more, comfortable routine for many.
Yeah.
And it's important to anticipate that shift.
And make sure you still have things that engage you.
Precisely. Sources of engagement, connection that suit that less hectic pace. This is where having a variety of interests, a strong social network, can really, really pay off.
And finally, the article touches on the phase where some individuals might require assistance. It covers the whole spectrum, really.
From in-home help to assisted living or nursing care. Yes.
It's a sensitive topic, obviously, but a necessary part of the conversation.
It is. And while it's not pleasant to dwell on, having some foresight, maybe some open discussions with loved ones about preferences, that can provide a real sense of control and peace of mind down the road.
Yeah.
The article rightly emphasizes, though, that every situation is unique. Individual decisions are key.
Throughout all these stages, though, the article keeps circling back to this central idea. Financial security gives you options, absolutely.
It opens doors.
But a well-thought-out emotional plan is indispensable, regardless of your net worth. As the author puts it, every potential retiree needs to have a well-thought-out game plan in place that makes sense for them both financially and emotionally.
That really is the crux of it. Your finances might, provide the ticket.
Right.
But your emotional well-being, that dictates whether you actually enjoy the journey, whether you step through those open doors and appreciate what's on the other side.
So as you're listening to this, whether retirement feels years away or maybe it's just around the corner.
Doesn't matter when.
Right. We really encourage you to take the wisdom from this Kiplinger piece to heart. Start asking yourself these deeper questions. Thinking proactively about these non-financial bits, it can really pave the way for a much more intentional and ultimately fulfilling future.
It's about designing a life, isn't it? Not just funding one.
Well said. So, to leave you with something to really chew on, what's one non-financial element of your ideal retirement that maybe you haven't given enough thought to yet?
Good question.
And maybe more importantly, what's one small action you could take, say, this week, just to explore that a little further?
Start the ball rolling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want to dive even deeper into this really vital topic, we highly recommend checking out that Kiplinger article again, The Emotional Side of Retirement Planning. It's a truly valuable resource as you navigate this pretty significant life transition.